A little black girl named Mia shares her sandwich with a white homeless man, John, demonstrating pure kindness at a moment when hope seemed lost. What Mia can't possibly know is that her simple gesture of generosity will spark a chain of events beyond anyone's wildest dreams. How does Mia's simple act of giving reshape their lives, and what unexpected journey unfolds? Keep watching to discover, but first let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches your heart, hit that subscribe button. In a vibrant neighborhood, surrounded by glass skyscrapers and crowded avenues, there existed a tight-knit community that seemed to operate in its own special universe. This was where 8-year-old Mia and her mother, Angela, made their home. Their tiny apartment, though modest, overflowed with affection and joy that seemed to touch every nook and cranny. Mia was an inquisitive child whose radiant smile could brighten the darkest days. Her black coiled hair swayed as she moved, and her giggles filled their building's corridors. Angela, raising her daughter alone, poured her heart into creating the best possible life for her little girl. Their apartment reflected their special bond, walls showcasing Mia's vibrant artwork, bookshelves filled with treasure stories, and a cozy kitchen where they created memories while preparing meals together. Despite life's obstacles, their mutual devotion made their small world perfect. One bright day, as classes ended, Mia sprinted from school with her characteristic energy. Her backpack swung rhythmically as she headed toward her cherished park, where she typically played before returning home. The park served as her sanctuary, a peaceful retreat amid the urban landscape. As Mia danced along her usual route, she noticed an unfamiliar presence. Seated on a park bench near the play area was an elderly gentleman, his attire weathered and disheveled, his facial hair untrimmed. He sat there, shoulders slumped, gaze downward, seemingly wrapped in melancholy. Even from afar, Mia sensed his despondency, which touched her young heart. Intrigued, Mia slowed her steps, studying the stranger as she approached. She heard his stomach growl softly. Without thinking twice, Mia opened her backpack and retrieved her afternoon snack, a sandwich lovingly prepared by her mother. Though it was her preferred peanut butter and jelly, seeing the hungry stranger convinced her of what she must do. Gathering her courage, Mia approached the bench. "Hello, sir," she whispered gently. The man lifted his head, surprised by the tiny voice. His blue eyes, though weary, held kindness that instantly calmed Mia's nerves. "Yes, sweetheart," he answered, his voice rough from lack of use. Mia extended the sandwich, offering a timid smile. "I thought you might need something to eat. Would you like my sandwich?" The man's expression shifted from surprise to deep emotion. He paused, glancing between the offered food and the generous child before him. "That's so thoughtful," he replied, "but I can't take your food. Won't you be hungry?" Mia shook her head, curls dancing. "I ate lots at school," she said, stretching the truth to ease his concern. "Please take it. Mom says sharing makes the world better." The man's weathered face transformed with a smile, revealing inner warmth beneath his struggles. Carefully, he accepted her gift. "Thank you," he said emotionally. "What's your name, little one?" "I'm Mia," she responded cheerfully. "What's yours?" "John," he shared, carefully unwrapping the sandwich. "You know, Mia, you've brought real joy to my day." Mia perched beside John on the park bench, her tiny feet swaying beneath her. "What brings you here by yourself?" she asked with childlike wonder. John savored a small piece of the sandwich, contemplating. "Life sometimes leads us down unexpected paths," he replied softly, "but generous souls like you make the journey more bearable." They shared a peaceful moment together, John finishing his meal while Mia observed the playground activities. Upon finishing, John turned to Mia with deep appreciation. "You're an extraordinary child, Mia," he shared. "Keep that generous spirit. It has the power to transform lives." Mia absorbed his words thoughtfully as the afternoon light began to fade, signaling time to leave. "I should head home now," she announced, rising. "Will you be all right?" John's eyes sparkled as he nodded. "Thanks to you, I feel better than I have in ages." "Be safe, Mia." With a cheerful goodbye wave, Mia skipped homeward, excited to share her story. Entering their apartment, she was greeted by the welcoming scent of her mother's cooking. Angela stood at the stove, tending to a pot of bubbling stew. She noticed her daughter's enthusiastic entrance and the joy radiating from her. "Welcome home, sweetie," Angela called, drying her hands on her apron. "How did school go?" Mia's expression brightened further. "Mom, wait until you hear this." Angela watched curiously, noting her daughter's excitement. "What's got you so happy?" Mia burst into her tale. words flowing rapidly. There was this person at the park, Mom. He seemed really hungry and sad, so I shared my sandwich and we talked. His name's John, and he said I brought him happiness. Angela's face transformed from interest to worry as she knelt before her daughter, gently gripping her shoulders. Mia, darling, you gave food to someone you don't know. Mia nodded eagerly. Yes, he was so thankful, Mom. You should have seen him smile. Angela hesitated, caught between admiration for her daughter's compassion and maternal concern. Sweetheart, while that was incredibly kind, we must discuss safety with strangers. Mia's enthusiasm dimmed slightly. But Mom, John wasn't dangerous, just lonely and hungry. Angela embraced her daughter with a sigh. I know you have such a loving heart. Sweetie, it's one of your most beautiful traits. But we must remember not everyone has good intentions. Mia rested against her mother, accepting but not fully grasping the warning. Angela met her daughter's gaze. Promise you'll be more careful? If you want to help someone, tell me first. We'll calmly find a way together. I promise, Mom, Mia replied earnestly. Angela toused Mia's curls affectionately. That's my sweet girl. Want to help set the table? As they prepared dinner together, Angela marveled at her daughter's innate empathy. Despite their own challenges, she'd raised a truly compassionate child. Still, maternal instinct nagged her about worldly dangers. Later, tucking Mia in, Angela sat beside her, stroking her hair. Mia, I want you to know I'm proud of your helping spirit. It's precious. Mia beamed. Really? Angela confirmed with a nod. Absolutely. But we must be smart about helping others. There are safe ways to show kindness. Like what? Mia asked eagerly. Well, Angela explained we could help at the soup kitchen or give to shelter, safe places where we can assist those in need. Mia's face lit up. Can we do that, Mom? Angela chuckled warmly. Of course, darling. We'll check options this weekend. Mia snuggled into her cover's content. As Angela kissed her goodnight, Mia whispered, Mom. Yes, sweetie. Will John be all right? Angela chose her response carefully. I hope so, dear. Your kindness likely meant everything to him. Remember, there are organizations dedicated to helping people like John. We can pray he finds the support he needs. Satisfied, Mia drifted to sleep, her encounter fresh in her mind. Angela quietly exited, closing the door. She leaned against the wall, exhaling deeply. Single parenthood's burdens felt heavy. But witnessing her daughter's pure compassion made everything worthwhile. As she tidied their cozy home before bed, Angela's thoughts drifted to homeless man. She wondered about his background, his story. It reminded her how quickly life could change direction. Reflecting on her own daily struggles, the endless work hours, the constant managing expenses, the setting aside of her personal aspirations for Mia's future. Yet they were blessed with shelter, sustenance, and most precious of all, each other. In this reflection, Angela felt deeply thankful for their blessings rather than dwelling on what they lacked. Settling into her favorite spot with steaming tea, Angela retrieved her treasured planner where she documented aspirations, wishes, and plans for their future. Tonight, she penned a fresh entry, explore community service opportunities with Mia. As she wrote, Angela experienced a spark of inspiration. While she couldn't transform the entire world, she could foster her daughter's natural empathy, directing it towards safe and impactful channels. Together they might create ripples of change, however modest. Contentedly closing her planner and finishing her tea, Angela knew tomorrow would present its challenges alongside chances for learning and benevolence. Preparing for bed, she offered silent prayers for Mia, herself, and John, the unexpected park visitor who'd inadvertently influenced their evening. As mother and child slumbered peacefully, the day's lesson in compassion had taken hold, ready to flourish into something remarkable. Dawn's light filtered through their apartment windows, bathing their modest living space in golden warmth. Being Saturday, the atmosphere held the promise of weekend leisure. Angela prepared breakfast while Mia perched at the table, swinging her feet and singing softly. What shall we do today, honey? Angela inquired, serving Mia's eggs. Mia's face brightened instantly. Could we visit the park? Maybe John's there? Angela paused, recalling last night's discussion. We'll see, sweetie. Let's eat first, okay? During breakfast, Angela wrestled with concern. She considered suggesting indoor activities when loud knocking interrupted her thoughts. Who could that be? She wondered, wiping her hands before answering. Opening the door revealed two uniformed officers, their demeanor professional. "Good morning, Mom." The taller one began authoritatively. "I'm Officer Johnson with Officer Rodriguez. Are you Angela Thompson?" Angela confirmed, her throat tightening. "Yes, that's me. Is something wrong?" Officer Johnson's expression softened. "We need to speak with you and Mia about yesterday evening." Angela's maternal instincts surged as she glanced at Mia, who watched curiously. "Please come in," Angela managed. "Mia, sweetheart, join us." Mia approached cautiously, her usual enthusiasm subdued. She gazed up at the officers with mixed fascination and uncertainty. Officer Rodriguez crouched to meet Mia's eye level, speaking gently. "Hello, Mia. I'm Officer Rodriguez. We'd like to ask about yesterday. Would that be okay?" Mia nodded slowly, seeking her mother's hand. Angela squeezed reassuringly. "Let's sit," Angela suggested, guiding everyone to the living room. They settled on the couch while the officers occupied nearby chairs. Officer Johnson began. "Mia, tell us about the man you met yesterday." Mia brightened instantly. "John. He seemed hungry, so I shared my sandwich." The officers exchanged meaningful looks. "That was generous," Officer Rodriguez commented. "Can you describe John?" As Mia detailed her encounter, Angela's thoughts whirled. Why were police investigating this interaction? Had something occurred? She unconsciously tightened her grip on Mia's hand. Officer Johnson nodded, jotting down notes in his small pad. "Did John say anything to you, Mia? Did he mention where he was from or where he was headed?" Mia shook her head. "No, we just talked about the sandwich and how important sharing is. He told me I was special, and that I should always be kind." Angela's worry couldn't be contained any longer. "Officers, what's going on? Has something happened to John?" The officers shared another glance before Officer Johnson spoke up. "Mom, the man we believe is named John was found unconscious in the park last evening. He's currently in the hospital." Angela gasped, her free hand flying to her mouth. Mia looked up at her, confusion etched on her face. "Is John okay, Mommy?" she asked, her voice small. Before Angela could respond, Officer Rodriguez intervened gently. "The doctors are taking good care of him, Mia. We're just trying to understand as to what happened." Angela demanded, her protective instincts flaring. "Why are you asking Mia about this? She's just a child who showed kindness to someone in need." Officer Johnson held up a placating hand. "We understand, Mrs. Thompson. We're not accusing anyone of anything. We're simply trying to piece together John's movements yesterday. Mia's interaction with him is the last confirmed sighting we have before he was found." As the officers continued their questions, Angela's mind whirled with a mix of emotions: concern for John's well-being, worry about Mia's involvement, and a growing unease about the situation. Mia, however, answered the officers' questions with innocence and honesty. She detailed her conversation with John, her face lighting up as she described how happy he seemed after she shared her sandwich. "Did John seem sick or injured when you met him, Mia?" Officer Rodriguez asked. Mia shook her head emphatically. "No, he just looked tired and hungry. But he smiled a lot after we talked." As the questioning wound down, Officer Johnson turned to Angela. "Mrs. Thompson, we appreciate your cooperation. We may need to follow up with you in the coming days. Here's my card if you remember anything else that might be relevant." Angela took the card numbly, her mind still processing everything that had happened. As she showed the officers out, Angela couldn't shake the feeling that their lives had somehow shifted, though she couldn't quite grasp how or why. Closing the door behind them, Angela leaned against it, taking a deep breath. When she turned back to the living room, she found Mia looking up at her, worry clouding her usually bright eyes. "Mommy, did I do something wrong?" Mia asked, her voice quavering. Angela's heart clenched as she knelt down, pulling Mia into a hug. "No, sweetheart, you didn't do anything wrong. You were kind and generous, just like we've always taught you to be." As she held her daughter, Angela's mind raced with how to explain the situation to Mia, how to protect her from the complexities of a world that sometimes punished kindness. Is John going to be okay? Mia mumbled into Angela's shoulder. Angela pulled back, looking into Mia's eyes. I hope so, honey. The doctors are taking care of him. We can pray for him, okay? Mia nodded solemnly. Can we visit him in the hospital? Angela hesitated. We'll see, sweetie. For now, why don't we finish our breakfast? As they returned to the kitchen, the cheerful mood of earlier had evaporated, replaced by a tense silence. Angela tried to maintain a calm demeanor for Mia's sake, but inside, her thoughts were in turmoil. The rest of the morning passed in a haze. Angela found herself constantly checking her phone, half expecting another call from the police. Mia was uncharacteristically quiet, her usual weekend exuberance dampened by the morning's events. It wasn't until early afternoon that Angela realized they couldn't stay cooped up in the apartment forever. Mia, honey, why don't we go for a walk? Get some fresh air. Mia perked up slightly at the suggestion. As they stepped out of their building, Angela noticed Mrs. Gonzalez, their elderly neighbor, watching them from her window. The old woman's gaze felt heavy with curiosity, and something else was a judgment. As they walked down the street, Angela couldn't shake the feeling that eyes were following them. At the corner store, Mr. Chun, the owner, greeted them with his usual warmth, but there was a questioning look in his eyes. Everything okay, Angela? He asked as she paid for a bottle of water. Saw some police at your building this morning. Angela forced a smile. Everything's fine, Mr. Chun. Just a misunderstanding, but as they left the store, she heard the whispered conversation start up behind them. News traveled fast in their tight-knit community, and Angela realized with a sinking feeling that the police visit was already becoming neighborhood gossip. They made their way to a small playground a few blocks from their apartment. As Mia ran to the swings, Angela sat on a nearby bench, her mind still swirling with worry. She watched as a group of mothers huddled together, throwing furtive glances in her direction. One of the mothers, Sarah, whom Angela knew from PTA meetings, broke away from the group and approached her. Hey, Angela, is everything all right? We heard there was some trouble, Sarah said, her voice a mix of concern and curiosity. Angela sighed, realizing she couldn't avoid the conversation. There's no trouble, Sarah. Mia helped a homeless man in the park yesterday, and the police had some questions about him. Sarah's eyes widened. A homeless man? Oh my, was Mia okay? Was he dangerous? No, Angela reassured her. He just looked tired and hungry, but he smiled a lot after Mia shared her sandwich. Angela swiftly reassured Sarah that Mia was unharmed, explaining she merely shared her sandwich with a grateful John. Sarah appeared relieved, yet Angela detected lingering concern. You can't be too cautious these days, Sarah remarked. Maybe watch Mia a bit closer. Angela bristled internally but held her tongue. As Sarah rejoined her group, Angela overheard whispers, judgmental tones discussing danger, irresponsibility, and poor parenting. Her chest tightened with frustration, wanting to defend Mia's actions, but knowing it would only inflame the situation. Mia, blissfully unaware of the adult drama, swung higher on the playground, her laughter echoing through the air. Angela envied her daughter's ability to find joy despite the day's confusion. As the afternoon wore on, more neighbors approached Angela. Old Mr. Johnson praised her, saying, "You're raising a kind girl." Angela, the world needs more of that. Others were less supportive. Mrs. Peterson, the neighborhood watch captain, confronted Angela as they left the park. Angela, dear, she began, her voice saccharine, I hope you'll be more careful. We can't have our children mixing with such people. Angela's temper flared. You mean people in need? Mia showed compassion, something we should all strive for. Before Mrs. Peterson could respond, Angela took Mia's hand and walked away. Angela's mind raced with a mix of pride, worry, and anger. She was proud of Mia's kindness, concerned about the repercussions, and irritated by the judgment of her neighbors. Mommy, why was Mrs. Peterson so mad? Mia asked, breaking Angela's thoughts. Angela sighed, choosing her words carefully. Some people struggle to understand kindness to strangers, honey. But that doesn't mean we stop being kind. It means we must be brave. Mia pondered this. I'm glad I gave John my sandwich, even if it made some people mad. Angela felt a surge of pride. I'm glad you did too, sweetheart. You did the right thing. As they reached their apartment, Angela's phone buzzed with a text from her best friend, Letitia. Girl, what's going on? Heard about the police. You okay? Call me. Angela groaned, realizing the news had spread further than she thought. She knew she'd have to explain everything to Letitia later. Inside their home, Angela felt a wave of relief. Here they were safe from prying eyes and gossip. As Mia settled in with her coloring books, Angela retreated to the kitchen, needing a moment to gather her thoughts. Leaning against the counter, she took deep breaths, replaying the day's events in her mind, the police at her door, the whispers, the judgment. Despite the chaos, she knew she had to stand by Mia's actions and protect her daughter's kindness no matter the cost. Angela whispered hastily that Mia had done nothing wrong. She'd only offered her lunch to share with him. He'd been grateful to her. Sarah seemed pacified, but Angela noticed the suspicion lingering in her expression. These days we have to watch our children more carefully, she suggested, eyeing Mia. Frustration bubbled inside Angela. Mia showed compassion to someone who needed it. As Sarah drifted back to her circle, Angela caught snippets of their muttered comments, reckless concerning that poor girl. Their condescending tones made Angela's stomach clench. She wanted to march over and defend her daughter's pure heart and generosity. But she knew that would only escalate things. On the playground equipment, Mia remained unaware of the grown-ups' tension, swinging back and forth with enthusiasm, her smile radiant. Angela found herself yearning for her child's gift of finding happiness in life's small pleasures, even surrounded by adult anxiety and doubt. Throughout the afternoon, neighbors approached Angela. Some, like elderly Mr. Johnson from their street, were encouraging. "You've got a wonderful daughter there, Angela," he remarked with warm eyes. "We could use more hearts like hers." Others proved less understanding. Mrs. Peterson, the self-proclaimed community safety coordinator, intercepted Angela as they prepared to leave. "Angela, dear," she began with artificial concern, "we must be more cautious moving forward. Letting children interact with such individuals sends the wrong message." Angela's anger sparked. "Such individuals? You mean people experiencing hardship? I think it demonstrated exactly what we should all practice." Mrs. Peterson's expression soured, but before she could speak, Angela grasped Mia's hand and strode away, chin raised. Walking homeward, Angela's thoughts churned with mixed feelings, pride in Mia's compassion, concern about their encounter with John, and resentment toward their judgmental neighbors. "Mommy," Mia piped up, interrupting her thoughts. "Why was Mrs. Peterson upset?" Angela exhaled, choosing her words carefully. "Sometimes, darling, people struggle to accept kindness shown to strangers. But that shouldn't stop us from being kind. It means we must be courageous with our compassion." Mia considered this quietly. "I don't regret sharing with John," she declared, "even if it upset people." Angela swelled with pride. "Neither do I, sweetheart. You followed your heart." As they reached their building steps, Angela's phone chimed. A message from her closest friend Letitia read, "Hey girl, what's happening? Heard police were involved. You all right? Call me." Angela sighed internally. The situation had spread further than anticipated. She knew a long conversation with Letitia awaited her. Inside their home, Angela felt tension leave her shoulders. Here they had sanctuary from curious eyes and gossiping voices. While Mia settled with her art supplies before the television, Angela retreated to prepare dinner, needing space to process. Standing at the counter, she focused on steady breathing as today's scenes replayed. The officers at their doorstep, the skeptical looks from neighbors and their judgmental comments weighed heavily on her. But Angela thought of Mia. Her sweet, kind-hearted daughter had seen only a person in need. In a world that often seemed harsh and indifferent, Mia had chosen kindness without hesitation. A soft knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. Angela tensed, wondering if it was more police or nosy neighbors. But when she opened the door, she found Maria, their upstairs neighbor, holding a covered dish. "I heard you had a rough day," Maria said softly. "Thought you could use some comfort food. It's my abuela's enchilada recipe." Tears prickled at Angela's eyes. "Maria, thank you. You have no idea how much this means." Maria smiled warmly. "Mia's a special girl, Angela. But don't let anyone make you doubt that. What she did was beautiful." As Maria left, Angela felt a weight lift from her shoulders. Yes, there were judgmental people in the world, but there were also those who understood and appreciated true kindness. She called Mia to the kitchen. And as they sat down to share Maria's enchiladas, Angela felt a renewed sense of purpose. They would face whatever came next together with kindness and courage. As the sun set outside their window, casting a warm glow over their small kitchen, Angela realized that Mia's simple act of sharing a sandwich had set in motion a chain of events that would challenge them, yes, but also reaffirm their belief in the power of compassion. Whatever happened next, Angela knew one thing for certain. She would never let the world dim the light of kindness that shone so brightly in her daughter's heart. The days following the police visit passed in a blur for Angela and Mia. Life continued as usual, but there was an undercurrent of anticipation, as if they were waiting for the other shoe to drop. Angela found herself checking her phone more often than usual, half expecting another call from the police. Mia, for her part, seemed to have bounced back to her usual cheerful self. She chattered away about school and her friends, but every now and then she'd ask, "Mommy, do you think John is okay?" Angela would smile and reassure her daughter, even as her own heart clenched with worry. "I'm sure he's getting the best care, sweetie. We just have to keep him in our thoughts." It was a warm Wednesday afternoon when the knock came again. Angela had just picked Mia up from school, and they were sharing a snack at the kitchen table when the sharp rap echoed through their small apartment. Mia's eyes widened. "Is it about John?" she whispered, excitement and worry mingling in her voice. Angela squeezed her daughter's hand. "Let's find out together, okay?" As they approached the door, Angela took deep breaths, steeling herself for whatever news awaited them. She opened the door to find Officers Johnson and Rodriguez standing in the hallway, their expressions unreadable. "Good afternoon, Mrs. Thompson," Officer Johnson greeted. "We have some information about John that we'd like to share with you and Mia. Mia, me come in." Angela nodded, stepping aside to let them enter. As they settled in the living room, Mia perched on the edge of the couch, her small hands clasped tightly in her lap. Officer Rodriguez smiled gently at Mia. "How are you doing, Mia? Have you been thinking about John?" Mia nodded vigorously. "Every day. Is he okay? Can we visit him?" The officers exchanged a glance before Officer Johnson leaned forward, his voice soft. "Mia, do you remember how kind you were to John? How you shared your sandwich with him?" Mia nodded again, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Well," Officer Johnson continued, "that act of kindness did more than just give John a meal. It helped him remember who he was." Angela gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "What do you mean?" Officer Rodriguez turned to Angela. "Mrs. Thompson, the man Mia met in the park isn't just a homeless person. His real name is Jonathan Caldwell, and he's been missing for over a year." The room fell silent as Angela and Mia processed this information. Mia was the first to speak, her voice small and confused. "But he told me his name was John." Officer Rodriguez nodded. "That's right, Mia. You see, Jonathan had lost his memory due to a traumatic event. He couldn't remember who he was or where he came from. But your kindness, your simple act of sharing your sandwich triggered something in his mind. It helped him start to remember." Angela felt tears prickling at the corners of her eyes. "So he's not homeless?" Officer Johnson shook his head. "No, Mrs. Thompson. Jonathan comes from a wealthy family in New York. They've been searching for him for over a year. 12 months searching, desperately praying they would locate him." Mia tilted her head, puzzled. "But what brought him to the playground? Why couldn't he return home?" The policeman shared a meaningful look before Officer Rodriguez explained. "You see, Mia, when humans experience something deeply traumatic or painful, their minds sometimes shield them by erasing memories. That's what occurred with Jonathan. But your generosity sparked memories of the affection and nurturing from his past life, helping him begin to recall." Angela embraced Mia tightly, stunned by how her daughter's simple gesture had triggered such monumental results. "What's the next step?" she whispered, barely audible. Officer Johnson broke into a genuine grin, their first glimpse of real warmth from him. "That's actually why we're visiting. Jonathan's relatives want to connect with you both. They're eager to thank Mia for helping restore their son to them." Mia bounced excitedly. "We'll get to meet John's family. Can we please, Mommy?" Angela wavered, maternal instinct surfacing. "I'm uncertain. It's quite overwhelming." Officer Rodriguez bent forward, speaking softly. Mrs. Thompson, I comprehend your reservations, but trust me, the Caldwell family simply wishes to express their deepest appreciation. They're moved beyond words by Mia's compassion and its role in recovering their son. Angela observed Mia's face, noting the eagerness and anticipation sparkling in her eyes. Reflecting on the neighborhood's recent scrutiny, the murmurs and suspicious glances, she realized this might demonstrate to everyone how extending kindness, even to strangers, could transform lives. Very well, Angela agreed finally. We'd love to meet them. The subsequent days passed in a blur of preparations. Angela fretted about appropriate attire and conversation topics, while Mia bubbled with enthusiasm, constantly asking questions about John, or Jonathan as they'd learned, and his relatives. When the meeting day arrived, Angela dressed Mia in her cherished yellow dress, the one that made her dark ringlets gleam like polished onyx. Approaching the park where everything began, Angela's stomach fluttered with mixed emotions. They spotted the waiting group near the bench where Mia first encountered Jonathan. There stood Jonathan, appearing healthier and more vibrant than before, accompanied by two people, clearly his parents, their expressions showing years of worry now melting into joy. As they approached, Jonathan's face brightened considerably. Mia, he called warmly, it's wonderful to see you again. Mia's hesitation vanished instantly as she darted forward, stopping just shy of him. Jonathan, you look so different. Jonathan crouched to meet her eye level, smiling brightly. I feel different thanks to you. You help restore my memories, Mia. You're my hero. Mia chuckled shyly, color rising in her cheeks. I just offered my lunch, she murmured. Jonathan's mother stepped closer, tears welling up. Oh, darling, it meant infinitely more. She knelt beside Jonathan, gently taking Mia's hands. Your kindness restored our son to us. We're eternally grateful. Angela watched the touching scene, her own eyes moistening. Jonathan's father approached, extending his hand. Mrs. Thompson, he said emotionally, I'm Edward Caldwell. Your daughter's actions, they're simply miraculous. Angela clasped his hand, feeling overwhelmed. Please, I'm Angela. And Mia, she was just being herself. Her heart's always been generous. Edward nodded warmly, smiling. That generous heart transformed our world. We'd abandoned hope of finding Jonathan, then suddenly received news he'd been discovered, regaining memories, all because a little girl shared her lunch. Meanwhile, Mia chatted animatedly with Jonathan and his mother, completely at ease. Angela observed her daughter's face brightening with each new discovery about Jonathan's life. You have a puppy, Mia squealed delightedly. I've always wanted one. Jonathan chuckled, tousling her curls. Perhaps you could visit him sometime. Max would adore meeting the girl who helped bring me home. Catherine, Jonathan's mother, turned to Angela. We'd be thrilled to host you both in New York. It's our small way of showing appreciation. Angela felt excitement flutter, followed by concern. That's incredibly generous. But I'm not sure we can manage, Edward gently interrupted. Please, allow us to arrange everything. We'd be honored to properly express our gratitude. As conversation flowed, Angela relaxed. The Caldwell's warmth and sincerity were unmistakable. She watched Mia's radiant expression, realizing this experience was broadening her daughter's horizons unexpectedly. They gathered on Catherine's thoughtfully provided picnic blanket, sharing stories and laughter, marveling at the sequence of events connecting them. You know, Jonathan reflected, during my lost period, I felt completely isolated, unable to recall my identity or origins. Then this little angel, he smiled at Mia, showed me kindness when I desperately needed it, like a beacon in darkness. Catherine squeezed Mia's hand tenderly. You reminded our Jonathan about life's inherent goodness. That sparked his memory recovery. Mia glowed with pride, then grew serious. But why were you lost, Jonathan? What happened? The adults exchanged uncertain looks, considering how to respond. Finally, Jonathan spoke gently. I had an accident, Mia. It injured my head, causing memory loss. But doctors are helping now, and I remember more each day. Angela observed her daughter processing this information, amazed by her capacity for understanding and empathy. Mia embraced Jonathan fiercely, declaring into his shirt, I'm happy you're found now. As evening approached, casting stretched shadows across the grounds, Edward spoke. Angela, Mia, we'd like to share something with you. Angela sensed a flutter of anxiety. Oh, Catherine quickly assured, nothing concerning. We've been reflecting on Jonathan's journey, realizing the crucial need to support others in crisis. We're planning to establish an organization dedicated to assisting homeless individuals and those struggling with memory loss or mental health challenges. Edward continued, we want to call it the Mia Thompson Foundation for Compassion and Memory Recovery. Angela inhaled sharply, her fingers touching her lips, while Mia's expression bloomed with astonishment. We hope you'll both participate, Jonathan added. Your insights, your empathy, they're essential. Though we understand if it feels overwhelming. Angela blinked back tears, glancing at her daughter's face, seeing wonder mixed with thrill. What are your thoughts, honey? Would you like to assist others the way you aided Jonathan? Mia bobbed her head enthusiastically, curls dancing. Yes, please, Mommy, can we? Angela chuckled through her tears. Absolutely, sweetheart. Absolutely. As they explored the details, warmth blossomed in Angela's chest. She reflected on their neighbor's disapproval, the whispered comments, the suspicious looks. None of it seemed significant anymore. Mia's compassionate gesture had transformed not only Jonathan's world, but would now impact countless lives. Twilight settled as they exchanged farewells, with promises of future gatherings and foundation plans lingering between them. Walking home together, Mia gazed up at her mother, face luminous in the dimming light. Mommy, she mused wonderingly, I'm really glad I shared my lunch. Angela clutched her daughter's hand, heart overflowing with love and pride. Me too, darling, she whispered, me too. Climbing to their apartment, Angela realized their path had shifted permanently. Possibilities she'd never imagined now stretched before them, all stemming from her daughter's simple kindness to a stranger. In their cozy home, as Mia enthusiastically discussed their new friends in the foundation, Angela felt serenity wash over her. She acknowledged future hurdles. Not everyone would support their involvement with the Caldwell's initiative, but felt bone-deep certainty they were following the right path. That evening, settling Mia into bed, Angela perched beside her, smoothing her curls. I'm incredibly proud of you, Mia. You've shown everyone how one small gesture can transform lives. Mia yawned, nestling into her covers. I followed your lessons, Mommy, being kind to those in need. Angela kissed her forehead, love surging through her. That's right, sweetie. Now you'll help even more people. You've begun something wonderful. Watching Mia drift into peaceful slumber, Angela lingered in the doorway, contemplating their journey from that park encounter to this moment of extraordinary potential. She thought of Jonathan, reunited and healing, of the Caldwells, whose world shifted through Mia's simple kindness, and of all those they'd helped through the foundation, all because one child offered food to a hungry stranger. Closing Mia's door quietly, Angela felt purposeful determination. They'd weathered judgment but discovered kindness's profound impact. Whatever challenges approached, they'd meet them together with compassion and strength in their apartment's stillness. As the city quieted outside, Angela offered silent thanks for her daughter's generous spirit, their unexpected new friends, and their chance to impact the world. Tomorrow will bring fresh challenges and opportunities for kindness. But tonight, Angela cherished the joy filling their home. Preparing for bed, she smiled, marveling how sharing lunch had sparked changes that would touch countless lives. In her darkened room, Angela silently vowed to herself and Mia that they would forever approach life with generous spirits and ready assistance, regardless of circumstances, because they now understood with certainty that the tiniest compassionate gesture could ignite a cascade of goodwill. As sleep claimed her, Angela's final thoughts drifted to their future, luminous with possibility and rich with opportunities for kindness to reshape lives, one small gesture at a time. The days after meeting the Caldwells rushed past in a flurry of activity. Their modest apartment hummed with renewed purpose as they began organizing their role in the Mia Thompson Foundation for Compassion and Memory Recovery. One bright morning, as Angela prepared breakfast, Mia skipped into the kitchen, her curls tousled from slumber. Mommy, when do we visit New York? I'm excited to meet Max, Angela chuckled, turning a pancake. Shortly, honey. Remember, we're waiting for the Caldwells to coordinate everything? Mia nodded thoughtfully. I understand. I just want to start helping others like Jonathan. Angela's heart warmed with pride. Kneeling to meet her daughter's gaze, she said, We will, sweetheart, but launching a foundation requires patience. Right then, Angela's phone chimed. A message from Catherine Caldwell. Hi, Angela. Travel arrangements are complete. Would next weekend suit you? We're eager to show you both around and begin planning our first initiatives. Let us know if that timing works. Reading the message aloud, Angela watched Mia's eyes sparkle with delight. Next weekend? Really? Oh, please, Mommy, can we go? Angela paused briefly. Everything was moving swiftly, but seeing Mia's hopeful expression, she couldn't refuse. All right, darling, we'll visit New York next weekend. Mia twirled joyfully around the kitchen. We're going to New York. We'll help people. We'll meet Max, watching her daughter's celebratory dance. Angela felt mingled excitement and nerves. This represented a major change, venturing into unfamiliar territory, but her instincts confirmed it was right. The pre-trip week raced by in preparation. Angela worried about appropriate clothing, proper etiquette in the Caldwell's world. Meanwhile, Mia bubbled with enthusiasm, constantly asking about New York and sharing foundation ideas. Mommy, could we give sandwiches to everyone hungry? Mia asked while packing. Like I did with Jonathan. Angela smiled, folding clothes. That's an excellent suggestion, sweetie. We'll discuss it with the Caldwells. Finally, departure day arrived. As their plane took off, Mia pressed against the window while Angela felt anticipation build. This marked the beginning of something grander than she'd ever envisioned for them. The flight seemed instantaneous, and suddenly they were landing in New York. Edward Caldwell greeted them at arrivals wearing a warm smile. Welcome to New York, he said, offering Angela a friendly handshake and Mia an enthusiastic high five. We're delighted you're here. Driving through city streets, Mia gazed wonderstruck. Everything's enormous, she exclaimed, nose against the window. Edward laughed. Indeed, but remember, Mia, even in this vast city, small kindnesses create huge impacts, just like yours with Jonathan. They arrived at a charming brownstone on a peaceful street. As they exited the car, Catherine emerged to welcome them, followed by Jonathan and an enthusiastic golden retriever. Max, Mia squealed delightedly. Jonathan smiled. He's been eager to meet you, Mia. I think he senses you're special. As Max bounded over, tail wagging furiously, Angela felt emotion surge. This was actually happening. They were embarking on a journey to transform countless lives. The following days blurred together, filled with exploring. The Caldwells showcased famous attractions and hidden treasures alike. Mia marveled at everything from soaring buildings to Central Park performers. Yet sightseeing wasn't their sole focus. They spent considerable time planning the foundation, generating ideas and strategies. Angela admired how the Caldwells valued Mia's input, attentively considering her suggestions and perspectives. Mia faced the assembled audience, approaching the microphone with determination in her eyes and joy in her heart. Angela swelled with maternal pride as her daughter began speaking. Welcome everyone, Mia's voice rang clear and confident. We're gathered here because kindness matters, because helping others matters, and because one tiny act of compassion can transform someone's entire existence. As Mia continued, relating her encounter with Jonathan and the Foundation's origins, Angela scanned the crowd's reactions. She noticed tearful eyes, affirming nods, and spreading smiles as Mia's contagious spirit touched each listener. When Mia concluded, thunderous applause filled the space. During the ribbon-cutting ceremony for the center, Angela experienced unparalleled fulfillment. Throughout subsequent weeks and months, the Mia Thompson Foundation's influence expanded steadily. Their kindness center became a community sanctuary, offering sustenance, necessities, and most importantly, genuine connection to those seeking help. Mia, young as she was, remained the heart of operations, spending after-school hours greeting visitors, preparing meals, and sharing her natural warmth with everyone she encountered. One day, while tidying the center after hours, Mia turned to Angela thoughtfully. Mommy, are we really helping? Angela knelt beside her daughter. Sweetheart, we absolutely are. Look at all the lives we've touched, all the joy we've created. You've initiated something extraordinary. Mia smiled softly. Good. I want everyone to feel cherished, like how you always make me feel. Angela embraced Mia tightly, fighting tears. Oh, darling, she whispered, you're transforming lives with each compassionate act, and I couldn't be more proud. Walking home together that evening, Angela reflected on their journey from a shared lunch in the park to a foundation spreading kindness nationwide, all stemming from her daughter's simple decision to help someone in need. Sunset painted their neighborhood golden as they climbed toward their apartment. Though their address remained unchanged, their sense of home had grown infinitely. As the foundation flourished, Angela and Mia adapted to their roles as community leaders and kindness advocates. Their lives balanced ordinary moments with extraordinary opportunities to create change. One autumn morning en route to school, Mia noticed an elderly newcomer struggling with shopping bags. She immediately approached. "Ma'am, would you like assistance?" The woman looked surprised, then relieved. "That would be wonderful, dear." As Mia carefully took a bag, Angela stepped forward to help. The woman introduced herself as Mrs. Larson, explaining she'd recently moved in. "Starting fresh at my age feels overwhelming," she admitted. Mia brightened. "Don't worry, Mrs. Larson. We'll be your friends, right, Mommy?" Angela smiled warmly. "Of course, welcome to our neighborhood." By reaching Mrs. Larson's door, Mia had already extended dinner and sent her invitations. The woman's eyes glistened. "I felt so isolated this morning, but you've completely lifted my spirits." Walking onward, Mia pondered quietly before suggesting, "Mommy, could we create a program helping seniors like Mrs. Larson avoid loneliness?" Angela glowed with pride at her daughter's endless compassion. "That's brilliant, sweetie. Let's develop some ideas before our next Caldwell call." That evening, during their weekly video chat, Mia enthusiastically shared her Mrs. Larson encounter and program concept. "What if we matched young people with older neighbors needing friendship?" The Caldwells exchanged admiring looks. "Exceptional idea, Mia," Edward praised. "It could unite generations and provide vital companionship." Catherine agreed, suggesting kindness across ages is the name. Angela, listening proudly, smiled. "Perfect." They spent subsequent weeks developing the program, coordinating with schools and senior communities, establishing safety protocols, and organizing volunteer screening. The initiative launched with a celebration at the center. Mia glided across the room in her sunshine-colored kindness ambassador shirt, guiding fresh young faces to their elderly companions as Angela observed her child with quiet joy. Mia possessed an innate talent for making connections, bridging gaps between the most unexpected pairs. She noticed a reserved teenage boy beginning to relax as he discovered his elderly friend shared his passion for chess. She observed several young girls huddling closer, captivated by their new companions' tales of days gone by. Mrs. Peterson, now one of their most committed volunteers, approached Angela quietly. "You know," she whispered, her voice filled with wonder, "I never imagined we could learn such profound lessons about kindness from someone so young. Mia is truly remarkable." Angela felt her heart swell as she nodded. "She is. And she helps others discover their own capacity for goodness too." As the gathering concluded, Mia rushed over, her cheeks glowing with excitement. "Mommy, did you notice? Everyone's becoming friends." Angela embraced her daughter warmly. "I did, sweetie. You've created something wonderful here." That evening, as they strolled beneath the twinkling stars, Mia grew unusually quiet. Angela squeezed her daughter's hand gently. "What's on your mind, baby?" Mia gazed upward, her expression solemn in the soft moonlight. "Mommy, are we really making things better, like truly better?" Angela knelt before her daughter. "Sweetie, look at me," she said tenderly. "What you've done, what we've accomplished together is spreading joy and connection in the world. That absolutely makes everything better." Mia considered this, a faint smile appearing. "I just want nobody to feel lonely or sad." Angela held Mia close. "That's what makes you extraordinary, baby. Your compassion touches lives every single day." Walking homeward, Angela reflected on their journey from their modest apartment to a foundation spreading kindness nationwide, all sparked by her daughter's limitless capacity to care for others. The Kindness Across Ages program's success drew media attention. One Sunday, a news crew arrived at the Kindness Center for a feature story. Mia, initially reserved on camera, soon relaxed as she shared tales about the foundation and its new initiative. The reporter, moved by Mia's sincerity and unexpected wisdom, found herself drawn into the child's world of compassion. "What inspired you to start this foundation?" the reporter inquired. Mia's expression turned thoughtful. "I noticed someone needed help, so I helped. That's all. I believe if everyone did the same, we'd have a kinder world." The segment aired that night, triggering an overwhelming response. The Kindness Center's phones rang constantly with potential volunteers and donors. Their website struggled under unprecedented traffic, watching the broadcast replay together on their sofa. Angela felt both elated and nervous. "Things might get pretty hectic now, sweetie," she murmured. Mia nodded, still watching the screen. "That's fine, Mommy. If we're helping people, I don't mind being busy." The following weeks brought whirlwind changes. The foundation grew swiftly, launching new centers in surrounding cities. Angela balanced her career with increasing foundation duties. Mia embraced it all, her spirit unwavering. One night during dinner preparation, Mia turned to Angela pensively. "Mommy, could we do something special for people without family during Thanksgiving?" Angela paused her vegetable preparation. "What were you thinking, sweetie?" Mia's face brightened. "What if we hosted a huge Thanksgiving dinner at the Kindness Center? We could welcome everyone, and we'd be like one big family." Angela smiled, once again, struck by her daughter's endless empathy. "That's a beautiful idea, Mia. We'll start planning tomorrow." The Thanksgiving celebration proved to be their most ambitious project to date. They secured donations from neighborhood eateries and markets, assembled countless volunteers, and converted the Kindness Center into a festive dining space. On Thanksgiving morning, Angela and Mia arrived first to oversee preparations. As they arranged tables and hung decorations, Angela found herself lost in thought about their journey, lost in memories. A voice interrupted. Angela turned to find Jonathan, who'd traveled with his family to support the event. Angela grinned, just remembering last Thanksgiving how a simple gesture of kindness changed everything. Jonathan smiled, watching Mia across the hall as she meticulously placed name cards at each setting. "She's a special child, Angela. You must be so proud." "Every moment of every day," Angela replied softly. When visitors started arriving, Mia shone brightest, offering each person a heartfelt welcome. Angela observed as her daughter floated between tables, ensuring no one felt overlooked. The celebration exceeded expectations, filling the space with cheerful voices and conversation. As fresh connections formed and existing bonds deepened, Angela surveyed the room, seeing individuals from diverse backgrounds joining together over a shared feast. Near the evening's close, Edward Caldwell rose for a speech. 1 year ago, he began commanding the silent room's attention. A young girl offered her lunch to someone she'd never met. That simple gesture transformed not just one life, but countless others. Lifting his glass toward Mia, he continued, "To Mia, who showed us the true meaning of kindness. And to everyone here tonight, part of this remarkable community of compassion." As cheers erupted, Angela embraced Mia, gently kissing her head. "You amaze me, baby," she whispered. Mia beamed up. "I learned it from you, Mommy. Being kind and helping others." Walking home through the cool autumn evening, surrounded by the fragrance of scattered leaves, Angela felt deeply fulfilled. Life wasn't always smooth sailing, challenges remained, but it held meaning and warmth. Mia danced beside her, singing quietly. "Mommy," she said suddenly, "can we make this a tradition?" Angela squeezed her hand. "We'll keep doing this as long as people need kindness, sweetie." Mia nodded contentedly. Reaching their building, she gazed skyward. "You know what, Mommy? I think people are nicer now. That makes me happy." Angela blinked back tears, watching her extraordinary daughter. "You're right, baby, and you helped make it that way." Entering their snug apartment, Angela knew they'd tackle whatever came next together with compassionate hearts and ready hands, certain now that even tiny acts of kindness could transform lives. What would you do if you were Mia when Jonathan's family reached out with gratitude? If this story touched you, please subscribe to my channel. I dedicate significant time to creating these meaningful stories, and your support means everything. Thank you for being part of this story.